So I'm so curious, as a young Muslim, why did you decide to go vegetarian?
It's something just never felt right. Is that really crazy to say? Growing up, something never felt right about eating animal. How are you Pakistani? You don't eat meat. How are you Muslim? You don't eat meat. How are you man?
You know how people get so upset with the idea of, those fucking Chinese eating dog, they're so cruel.
Literally, I can't say anything to you because you are such a hypocrite if you were saying to me, I'm gonna be selective on my empathy. But I have a friend who eats like anything, and he had fertilized eggs, balut. He ate it, and then I was talking to one of my friends, and she was like, no, I'd never do that. But you eat the before and the after. You literally eat the grown chicken and the unfertilized version, but then the little baby chick, oh no, I couldn't do that.
Right now, we've got millions of people working in meat and dairy
Yeah,
industry.
yeah.
We've got 80 billion animals in existence. If we went vegan tomorrow, the world would be fucked. The thing is, though, it's realistically going to be... Thank you so much for joining me on Kindness with Amy. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And what a random occurrence
Yeah.
to meet you as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I never told you this before, but I have actually watched
Oh
many of
my
your
God, I didn't
videos
know.
because they've come up in my feed as
Right.
suggested things. And there's one I watched of yours, a video where you were passing commentary about some lady who was organising all of these
Tupperware and
the
or the ice.
the ice lady.
Yeah,
She
God,
had all
yeah.
these different types of ice, and
Yeah,
she
it's
was
crazy.
like organising all these like ice things in her. I'm like, firstly, who has time for this stuff?
Rich people.
Rich people.
Hard-working, working class people are not doing that. I'm telling you now, we do not have the time for that. So someone who has time and has money
And
will
has
be able to do it,
money.
yeah. so.
Exactly. But for my listeners who do not know,
Yeah.
I know you as hilarious social media sensation. But
Yeah.
please share with me, where did your social media journey begin?
So it was, do you know, I've been doing comedy content online
Yeah.
for a long time. So,
Yeah.
but then life gets in the way. So I've always said this. I'm come from a South Asian background, a working class background, where my parents drilled into me education first and then have the time to be able to explore other things. So I was really like, I did do both. I started making YouTube videos back in 2015.
Yeah.
And then life always got in the way, whether it was a degree or finals or, there's always something that gets in the way. So I stopped doing it. And then lockdown happened. And then we had nothing else to do. So it was make content. So I did. And then back end of 2021, I started to make content I enjoyed. I thought, you know what, I was in bed all the time. And then I was like, you know what, I'll just watch videos. I'll react to videos. I'll give my commentary. And then, Instagram, I was on to end of 2022, I was on 9,000 followers. And end of 2023, I was on 1.6 million.
That's insane.
So, it happened. And I still, this day, don't understand why. When people say it to me, I'm like, I don't know. So, yeah.
That's crazy. So, when I met you yesterday, did I meet you yesterday? No, day before yesterday. I don't even know when I met you.
No,
Okay.
yesterday, because remember we came down. Yeah.
Oh my God, I have no
Yeah, you
idea.
spoke to me the day before on Instagram, didn't you?
Right, yeah, that's right. So when I first met you, I had no idea that you were vegetarian, and I'm always so curious when I meet people who are especially from an Islamic background,
Yeah.
who by choice
Yeah.
decide to be vegetarian.
Yeah.
And, coming from India, working in this space so much and meeting so many people, more often than not, Muslims who I do come across and meet, it's a general perception and a general idea that it's very normal as part of the way of life, the culture, the religion.
You eat meat.
You eat
Yeah,
meat.
yeah.
Okay, it's not, you're not doing it correctly if you're not eating meat. So I'm so curious, like for you, why, as a Muslim, a young Muslim, why did you decide to go vegetarian?
Do you know what? You say that, and that's very true, because I have felt that pressure. Like, how are you Pakistani? How are you Pakistani? You don't eat meat. How are you Muslim? You don't eat meat. How are you, like, it's crazy. How are you a man and you don't eat meat?
How are you a man?
It's crazy. So, like, I don't know. I think it's changed. I think the landscape's changed. But growing up, I was a rarity. So you would not meet another vegetarian. an Asian, Muslim, South Asian vegetarian. It was hard to meet. Like you'd meet a lot of Indians. I had loads of Indian friends, Hindu friends that are obviously vegetarian, but meeting a Muslim, Pakistani, South Asian, it was very rare. How did that come about? Do you know what? Something just never felt right. Is that really crazy to say? For me, growing up, something never felt right about eating animal. And my mum used to force me to eat it as a kid because obviously, God love her. She was just doing what was right, giving me what she thought was necessary, And back in them days, we didn't have a lot of vegan options or vegetarian options. You know what I mean? You couldn't go to a restaurant and order vegetarian options. So I've eaten fish fingers and I've eaten chicken, and that's the only animals I've ever eaten. And I stopped eating a long time ago. So I was about 10 or 11, 10, 11, just before high school. And so, a long time. And it hasn't bothered me.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I think that's it. It's always felt, I remember the first time my friend was making a chicken, and like, there's a real weird thing because if it's diced, people are okay with that. People have an issue with seeing the whole body of it, face, teeth, and everything. Then all of a sudden, oh no, but you're still eating it. Is that strange? Like, I've had friends who've gone, oh no, I can't have it, but I can't have like when it's like a full chicken, because you can see the full body of the chicken minus the head.
Yeah.
Or when you see like some people eat like cow beef with the full body, don't they? Or I know a lot of people eat pig with the full hog, I think they call it. I don't know any of these. I didn't even know what steak was. Do you know how weird that is? I didn't know there was a difference between steak, beef, and whatever it was. Cow to me. So yeah.
In my mind, it's like, I feel like if you are prepared to run onto the street, take your clothes off and claw down an animal with your kind of teeth and rip it to shreds and eat it raw, then in my mind, you should totally eat it. Like, that's taking ownership for that thing. But I think most humans are geared towards being quite kind and compassionate.
Yeah.
If we see an animal in pain, if we see an animal suffering, we will try and stop that occurring. But there's such a crazy disconnect between our choices and what we are actively doing and what we're paying money for, which is insane, crazy torture that is happening in 80 billion plus animals per year in the most insane levels and the most insane suffering that is, you can't even describe it. We only know it because we've seen it. I've seen videos of it every day. I know what occurs everywhere around the world. Yet we're so disconnected from what's going on. And in my mind, I'm like, look, if you want to just go and, run around.
Yeah, it's because we eat it. I think people, well, I don't eat it, but people eat it. And I think there is that you stop caring because you're just eating it. I think there's a weird thing because like I said to you, if I said to somebody, there's your thing, strip it, like kill it, strip the skin, most people would not eat it.
Yeah.
Most people would not eat it if they had to see it as a person, as a living being.
Yeah.
I think most people wouldn't eat it.
Yeah.
I honestly think, like, I know so many of like my family and kids and that people that I've seen that when we've gone abroad or we've gone somewhere and they've seen their little goat that they brought up, and then they would not eat that goat or they wouldn't eat that sheep or that lamb when they've brought it up, like because you have an emotional connection. But we do have an emotional connection to it. But then when you're eating a chicken burger, you don't have an emotional connection because you just went in and ate the burger.
Yeah, it's a total disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, how people get so upset with the idea of like, oh, those fucking Chinese like eating dogs and like they're so cruel and stuff.
I find that so hypocritical.
I'm like, dude, how
so
are you upset with that when you're eating other animals and you're fine for those animals?
But my dog's a pet. Yeah. And I'm like, but then a cow can be a pet.
Bias.
I'm sorry, that's a pet to you. But it's the thing, like, somebody could say my cow's a pet, but you're eating it.
Exactly.
Somebody could say my chicken's a pet, but you're eating it. People have chickens as pets.
That's just subjective.
Yeah, and that is the wildest thing I found when people are online in the comment section. I'm like, are you vegetarian? Shh. You know what I mean? Like, literally, I can't say anything to you because you are such a hypocrite if you were saying to me, I'm going to be selective on my empathy.
Yeah,
Or, I mean-
because where do you draw the line with that? Because then if
Yeah.
we start saying that empathy and these things are like personal choices and all this stuff, I'm like, well, then a pedophile can also say that it's my personal choice. If we start
Yeah,
dishing out
murderer.
these... Exactly.
A murderer can say, well, I murdered this. Where do we draw? I mean, people out there that do say things like, you know, if you commit a murder, then you should. I've always been a pacifist, so for me, murder doesn't mean more murder. I just don't understand, like, I never understood it. And everyone always says to me, well, if it was your family, you'd feel different. I was like, I really wouldn't. Like, I really wouldn't feel any different, because for me, the idea is I don't think I would feel that I'd feel any better in taking a life of someone who took a life.
Yeah.
I don't think I would feel better. I know some people would. I wouldn't feel better. And so that's why I think it's crazy that when it comes to that, where do you draw the line? Because you can be, and you know, the film we just watched, Cowspiracy, there is a very, I don't want to say it because I want people to watch it, but there's a very controversial moment in there when they do a comparison, and that comparison is crazy. But the reason they use that comparison and had someone who went through it to do that comparison is they're saying, at some point, you have to look at the parallels and go, once you start dehumanizing a living being, how easy is it to just dehumanize human beings?
Yeah.
And that's what the tactics is. We've seen it across history. We see that the same tactics that we employ, oh, but it's on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Oh, but, you know, it's not really a human. I didn't kill it, so I can eat it. Thou shalt not kill, but I didn't kill it.
Buddhists saying that it's okay for us to eat meat if we didn't kill the animal. But it's like, you're still buying the meat. You've still paid someone else money to kill the animal.
They wouldn't kill it if you didn't eat it.
Yeah.
Because then that meat, it's the industry, it's a cycle, isn't it? You're buying it, they're killing it, and
That's
then
why
they're
there's
providing
the supply,
more.
because you've
Supply and
created
demand.
demand. It's, I don't understand Buddhists who eat meat. It doesn't align with the basic principles of your entire religion.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of like controversy when it comes to religion and eating meat, because there is, you know, for me personally, it's always just been about, I take religion out of it, and I think my own ethics, my own sort of thing has always been like, it's never felt right. I've watched kids like tear pieces of chicken and eat it, and I'm like, that's flesh. And I don't know how. I sit there and I watch, and I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. Like, oh, like bone. I've worked with human bodies, and when you look at, I mean, I've seen people eat a T-bone steak or whatever, and or ribs, and they're like, it's rib. I don't know. It blows my mind. So I think that's the reason why I'm vegetarian, because it genuinely, I can't understand it. My brain can't understand eating meat. I don't have, like, listen, I'm not one of those people that's like going to be anti everyone's entitled to their lifestyle choices. We all make choices, but just be a bit more aware of it, I think, personally. And I think if more people were aware of it, I think they'd be less inclined to eat it.
I think maybe just more people just maybe need to think about it a little bit more. It's just
That's
one of
what
those
it
things
is.
we don't think about. Like for me, I grew up eating meat, so it's like I've been quite conditioned and used to doing it, and I never used to think about it. And then I watched this documentary when I was 15, and the documentary was called Earthlings, narrated by Joaquin Phoenix at the time. And this documentary completely just
Change your life.
blew me over, dude. Like, I hadn't even thought about these concepts, and I was like, wow, if I'm not okay to hurt my dog, how can I be okay to hurt another animal if I don't need to?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I'm in survival situations where I have to, like, kill an animal and, like, I'm on the desert island. I'm literally in modern society, and I have choice A or choice B, and choice A is non-violence, choice B is violence. So why would I choose the violent one when I don't need to?
If you were in the wilderness, like I struggle because I'm like, I don't know. I've never been in the wilderness. I've never been on a desert island that, you know, to survive. So I can't tell you what I would do.
You're
would
wrapped
I eat that?
in a tortilla.
Like, you know what I mean? I am chilling in my very comfortable life. So I think because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I'd never eat rat. If you were stuck on an island, you're eating that rat. Like, don't act like, you know, there's a very, like, I couldn't eat this or that. I think it's crazy that people say, like, choose which meat they eat. Oh, I couldn't eat that. Like, my friend, we were having this conversation because one of my friends said, I have a friend who eats, like, anything. He's got the best palate. I've got the most blandest palate, and he's got an eclectic palate.
Right.
And he went and he had fertilized eggs, so balut. Don't know if you've ever seen
I've
it.
seen it with the actual
Baby chick.
starting to
Baby
grow,
chick,
right?
like
Yeah.
crazy wild. Like you,
Yeah, I've seen.
literally people bite the head off, and that's crazy, isn't
Yeah.
it? Sorry for being so graphic, but that's it. And he ate it, and then I was talking to one of my friends, and she was like, "No, I'd never do that." But you eat the before and the after. You literally eat the grown chicken and the unfertilized version, but then the little baby chick. Oh no, I couldn't do that. No, not for me. That.
Isn't that interesting?
It's weird. It's crazy, isn't it? Meat eaters have such like parallels on what's acceptable and what's not.
Yeah.
What's acceptable? Well, I'm not eating dog. It's not acceptable because I'm a loving human being.
I love animals.
But then how could you eat a dog? Look at its eyes. Look at how cute it is. What about a little baby goat or a lamb? You know what I mean?
It doesn't add up. So what we were talking about yesterday after we watched this documentary about slaughter. So, and I've been thinking about it more, that is there a way to humanely slaughter an animal?
So I'm going to talk from what I know of the religious perspective. I know that the Abrahamic religions, I suppose, I don't know much about Christianity and slaughter, but I definitely with like Judaism and Islam, they do have this sort of idea behind that you can't cause harm to the animal. Now, here's where I slightly am confused about, and I'd love to have this conversation because totally I understand that there's the belief is that you don't slaughter because it's haram basically. A halal animal can't be halal if it's not killed humanely. Firstly, putting those two things together, humanely killing in itself is crazy. It's a wild sentence, isn't it?
Yeah.
Say humanely killing. But they say that if the way they cut the sever the artery or the sever the nerve or whatever it is that
Right.
they do, I've not looked into it, but there's a way of doing it where the animal doesn't feel the pain. Now, here's my question. What about before it? So when you're hanging it upside down, before you cut it, is it not in pain? In being in an abattoir, being pus, disease-ridden, rolling around in its own mud and filth, are we keeping it humane and then killing it humanely? You know what I mean? How do you then, because I want to see it. I would like to see it. If you lived in a little village and you had, you kept your animal safe and sound, and then, you sacrificed it or you gave food to the poor or whatever you did, there might be an element of humane there. In this country, do you think we have a humane killing? I don't think we have it in England. We definitely do not have it in this country. Most of our animals are battery farmed, battery kept, even the ones that are on free range.
It's 99% of all the meat in the world comes from factory farms.
Okay, so
99.
Okay, so how is that then halal?
Yeah.
How are we saying that's halal certified if you're not? The quote is humanely, the animal cannot have any suffering, but is that suffering at the point of death or suffering in its thingy? And I need clarity. That's where I would like clarity on.
So Zera, who I interviewed, who was from Green Islam, who I was telling you about, she told me that according to correct halal slaughter, an animal should not be in any form of suffering for their entire life.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to see blood, they're not allowed to smell blood, and they're not allowed to know that another animal has been in pain or suffering. But the problem is that that's not the reality when you're rearing millions of animals to kill.
For
It's
the
not
demand,
possible.
the demand isn't happening.
It's
Back
not
in the
possible.
day,
Yes.
that would have been
Possibly.
possible. You would have had
Yeah.
loads of land.
Yeah.
You would have had areas where you took them or
Yeah.
what. I mean, I don't know how it works, but I don't think in 2024 there is a lot of humane killing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible to
Yeah.
let the animal have such a brilliant life, and then I don't know, it's an odd one. I think people are very close. Like, I veer away from talking about religion on my channel and stuff
Yeah.
because people are so passionate about it and people are so, it's so part of who they are. So it's one of those things where you don't want to offend people, and I don't want to offend people's culture. I'm genuinely curious as to, I completely get halal, I completely get kosher, but I wanted the clarity on the two parallels
Yeah.
between having killing halal, which is making sure the animal does not suffer. But where does that suffering begin and end? Is it at the point of its life, or do they just mean by death? Suffering. So you know what I mean? A bit of clarity on that. And I think
I'm curious about the whole thing though, because like from what I understand, from what I've been told by Islamic scholars, is that Muhammad, when he was in the desert, he lived entirely off dates, nuts, fruits, and vegetables, whatever he could scavenge. He didn't actually eat meat, and he didn't promote the idea of eating meat either. He actually promoted the idea of kindness to animals. And in the Quran, it says that a Muslim doing one bad deed to an animal will put them into a lifetime of hellfire, but a non-Muslim doing one good deed to an animal will put them into heaven or paradise. And so I find all of these instances so interesting when these holy books talk about how much kindness to animals is valued, and how if the Prophet Muhammad was not eating animals during a time of being in a desert, then how are we in modern society, Muslims, non-Muslims, whatever, like if you prescribe to that idea, how is it justified? There are agendas that perhaps have come into play.
Because one thing that they said in Cowspiracy was this idea that generally every religion encompasses do not harm others.
Yeah, all of them.
All of them. So do not harm, literally all of them. Every religion you can possibly find will have, there's no religion that says harm others. The general theme is don't harm life. But we as human beings, we put value on what life is more valuable. So we justify do not harm life. So it's crazy. Like you can kill your goldfish or kill a fish really easily, leave it, take it out of water, drop it on the side and let it suffocate. But I wouldn't, kill my dog or something. You know what I mean? Like, or something crazy like that. Like you wouldn't let a dog suffer. But yeah, a fish. So where we put into a rat is okay to be in a rat trap and have its neck snapped. But you wouldn't do that to a cat.
Yeah, you'd go to jail if you do that to a cat.
Yeah. You can run over a cat and not go to prison. You can run over a dog and you can go to prison. Did you know that?
No. Really?
You can, if you run over a cat, you don't obviously do anything about it, it's fine. If you run over a dog, apparently you can go to prison if you don't tell anyone or take it to a vet or whatever.
Wow.
Crazy. So we ourselves have put value on what life is more precious. So we've gone, this life is more precious than that life. And that's why in a sense, we've absolved ourselves from any responsibility. I think it's quite crazy, but I honestly, I'm not that educated enough on the religion side of it. I would love to. And I think we were speaking yesterday about perhaps doing a documentary and looking into it a bit more.
I think it'd be fascinating.
And I think it'd be really,
But I mean, as you were saying before, even just like taking religion out of it, it's like just from a very basic common sense ethical perspective, it just makes sense.
Empathy is something that we're born with, but we have it.
We indoctrinate it out of children.
That's what we do. Yeah, we tell them. We push it out of. It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wild.
So what we were saying before, I mean, I don't know if I feel that. I think it's such an oxymoron. I don't think that there is any such thing as humane slaughter. I'm like, to me, the way I see it is like, something can be justified to me ethically if it's a requirement.
Okay.
Like, let's say if someone's attacking me, it's fair that I attack them back. If I'm in a survival situation, it's fair.
Like if a bear's coming at you and
to survive or live or
there is
whatever.
I think religiously in Islam it says that though. I think there is a thing about animal unless it's absolutely necessary for like survival. I know I read somewhere because I did a bit of Google. I mean, I probably could do some more than just Google, but there is something like survival and absolutely necessary. So, like when you need to eat it.
And I would say that's fair to assume that pretty much every religion either advocates completely not harming animals or would advocate the idea that only if, it's absolutely necessary then to harm an animal, not industrialize harming animals out of the sake of convenience and taste. And
can I throw a spanner in the works?
Yeah.
So I did a video a couple of months back for PETA, and it caused a lot of controversy online because for me, I was watching, they asked me to watch a video of where, you know, and PETA as an organization is known as controversial because they ask you, whatever that people's, I didn't know. I was just like, listen, an organization is, we're looking for the welfare of animals and this is what it is. So this video it was about wool and like fur and things like that in the industry. And it was crazy because I got so much backlash from it because people were saying to me, you don't understand. So I'll give you that question. I want to hear what, you know, what you think. And the question was that, well, a lot of people's livelihood is works on wool and fur, and also a lot of livelihood is based around meat. Rearing animals, farmers rearing animals and bringing up their family, and in a cost of living crisis, in a world where the rich are so rich and the poor are even poorer, how are we going to advocate for animals but also then say human beings? Well, how are you going to earn your living? It's okay for me. It's always, we're sat here, we're privileged. We're sat in a world where we've got everything. We can go and ring up DoorDash, or we can ring up Just Eat, and, you know, we can do what we want. But someone who's in a farm and their reliance on living is meat, do we then say you can't have that because it's not humane?
So the way I see these things, right, I think the world operates on supply and demand, right? Any instigation of any change is never overnight, right? Let's say right now, for example, we've got millions of people working in meat and dairy industry, wool industry, got 80 billion animals in existence, right? If we went vegan tomorrow, the world would be fucked because we've got a bajillion animals everywhere. We've got people out of work. It'd be chaos.
Cows just in the streets, you know.
Cows running around, gas everywhere. It's gonna be chaos. So the thing is, though, with the instigation of change, it's realistically going to be 30 to 40 to 50 years before we start seeing real shifts in supply and demand. And what happens is, for example, let's say we start shifting away from wool and instead we start using plant-based wool or plant-based leather. For example, they've now found a way in India, workers have found a way to use banana waste and turn it into leather. And making leather goods from that. And it's created employment. And people who were working in toxic leather industries, those workers are now merging and working in a more sustainable, better practice solution. So these are not overnight things. These are, I think, very slow processes of, you know, cow milk being replaced by oat milk, cow milk being replaced by ragi milk, by coconut milk, by almond milk, by all these things. New industries are being born, but it's just a matter of
these new industries, are they having more of a calm? So remember they were saying about tofu. So like, not tofu, was
soy.
it? Soy. And tofu. I don't even know what tofu is. I've never had it. Soy. About how they're cutting down the Amazon rainforest to have more land, so then they can have more soy. So
let me tell you about this soy thing. Most of the world's soy, humans eat 7% of the world's soy. 7. Guess who eats the rest?
Who?
The animals we breed into existence to eat.
Okay.
So we're literally cutting down rainforests to make a shit ton of soy.
To give it to animals that we want to kill, that to eat.
To then kill those animals, to then only get 18% of our calories from those animals, when we could just not cut down the rainforests and not be having animals as the middlemen.
So what's really interesting is I feel like a lot of people use that as a way scapegoat. Like, I think that whole conversation in itself, like, oh look, but you want me to do soy, but they're chopping down the trees so then they can have more soy. Isn't that just? We're like, we don't even need. We're not chopping down all those trees for us. We're chopping it down for like. I feel like people. I think there's a really big thing about activism though. It takes one person to say an activist is crazy or whatever, and then everybody they lose their entire reputation. So,
dude, like that chick that died from, do you remember that crazy girl that hadn't drunk water in 6 years, and she was some fucked up vegan chick who like, she wasn't even vegan. She was like this raw vegan that ate one kind of fruit, and then she didn't drink water for like forever,
and that's it. And now
she died. I'm like, of course she died. Like, what the fuck was she eating?
We all know that. She's not.
But then
eating.
all the headlines was that vegan girl dies, and then the amount of like messages I was getting, I'm like, dude, firstly, what is she eating? And you've made it about vegan. So this one crazy person has
That's like
made.
everything, though, isn't it?
It's like anything.
It's like anything, though. You have one crazy, and then that's it. The whole reputation. But I was because where's the debate between veganism and vegetarianism? Because I know I get judged for being a vegetarian. I eat a lot of chocolate and ice cream and cheese, and then obviously there's the thing of like, well, you could cut them out because there's loads of alternatives. The alternatives aren't good at the moment, which I could just eat them. But then the thing of like, you're making people have more cows because they need the milk
Yeah.
to make the ice cream and the chocolate you eat. So I feel like a bit of a hypocrite, don't I? In the sense that I'm like advocating for animals, but also eating something for animals. So
Well, look, I think it's just about firstly not beating yourself up
Yeah,
with these
okay.
things. Okay, you have to be a little realistic, and take it in a step-by-step way. I mean, we're all on our journeys of figuring this shit out, and there's
Yeah.
constantly new things. I think when it comes to things like chocolate, ice cream, and this sort of stuff, I don't know about in the UK, but in Australia and India, my God, like it's so easy. Like I love all those things, and
Yeah.
I don't miss any of those things. I mean, if I'm going like having Whitakers, having Lindt, half of the stuff is vegan anyway.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to find replacements. It's
Yeah, yeah,
easy
yeah.
for me to switch out. I'll get the vegan version at Baskin and Robbins. I'll get, Ben
there
and
are
Jerry's.
so many more options now.
Yeah.
Like you can go everywhere. Like I was looking at the menu yesterday from the hotel we're staying at, and a lot of them were just vegan. Like they weren't even vegetarian. They were just like vegan because we can just caters for all, doesn't it? Then just
Yeah.
take out everything. I think my biggest one is probably I drink a lot of milkshake. I drink milkshake like water. So somebody will say to me, "What are you having?" I'm like, "I'll get a milkshake," and they're like, "Well, you haven't drank any water today." I'm like, "Yeah, no, because I'm having a milkshake." So I drink milk. I think milk's my worst one. I can't have raw milk. I'll have to have it with like strawberry or something in it. Like I'm a 4-year-old.
Right.
And I think cheese. So cheese is the big one because I'm really fussy. So my palate is crazy. I don't like a lot of vegetables. So if you gave me like a veggie something, I'd take out all the really fat vegetables in there. So like I'd be like, I don't like onions, don't like cucumbers, don't like tomatoes.
You are a 5-year-old.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
So I tell you what I eat: pizza, bread,
So, okay.
pasta.
Okay. I see
I'd
a
survive in Italy. I'd be brilliant in
trend. Dude,
Italy.
you need
wouldn't
to
I?
move. I'm
I know.
seeing you need to move countries.
Yeah, and that's so. Can you imagine if I then take the cheese out of all that? There's no pizza without cheese. There's no pasta with cheese in it. I mean, you can have pasta without cheese, but there's a lot of stuff that you've got to replace. So I'd be like that vegan girl, starving.
You'd be starving.
Yeah.
Look, I think half of it is knowing what things to get and what to not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit stuff out there, and there's a lot of good stuff out there. It's just knowing what mozzarella to buy that's dairy free, what cheddar you can buy that's
And it's one step
dairy-free.
at a time, isn't it? As
It
well,
is,
like
like-
somebody watching this might be like, I eat meat, and there's these people that are saying I'm a bad person, and it's not that you're a bad person. It's that just, which will lead us on to the book, is this idea of once you know it exists,
Yeah.
you can then do something about that, and you can make a different choice, and you're aware of it, and most people
Yeah.
aren't aware of it, which, you know, leading on to the reason I wrote the book was that's the same thing in the book. I pulled this mask off the internet and went, this is the exposing of the internet, and it's not this like big massive thing expose it. It's this idea that once you're aware that this exists, you don't have to feel bad about it. You just know it exists, and you can watch all these videos for entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Once you know that this industry of like how evil it can be, you can make a different choice. But no one's forcing you to make that choice. It's you can make that choice. And most people will make a different choice because we are genuinely empathetic beings.
Absolutely.
We have the power to be empathetic. So the minute you see it, I showed that video, the pizza video to some of my friends, and they were all like, "Oh, I can't," and like so many of them stopped wearing like alpaca wool or fur, like they leather. They really were questioning it. So I was like,
yeah.
So
I'll refrain from sending you any dairy videos then.
yeah. No, I did. So I stopped drinking milk when I saw a couple of videos, and then I think over the years again, it's crazy because the less you see it, the more you build. So
100%,
so I saw a video, and honestly, I couldn't drink milk. I was
Yeah.
like, every time I looked at it, I was like, I'm gonna be sick. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
sick, and then time just sort of, I forgot. It's like when you lose someone, eventually you heal from the trauma of losing that person. So it's not, yeah. not that I'm trying to trivialize someone's death, but it's like that once the impact it has on you sort of
Correct.
reduces.
Yeah.
So then you forget. But in that moment, I know, honestly, some of the videos that are out there, and if I took a group full of people to a slaughterhouse, that entire group would be vegetarian tomorrow.
Seriously, absolutely.
You know that would
I
happen, wouldn't
agree
it?
with you.
Easily.
You know, I saw an investigation video from Australia, South Australia, of just recently of how they kill the baby cows from the dairy industry, and it's because veal is a big thing there, and basically if a male calf is born into the dairy industry, it's disposed of within quite soon after its birth. And it's just shocking when you see babies being killed in that way. Like, they're considered waste products of the dairy industry. And it's just very hard to see
crazy,
that kind of
isn't it?
stuff. But I really don't think that vegetarians should... I mean, I'm vegan myself, but at the end of the day, I'm like, I see it that any small changes that you can do, I think really have a big impact.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, let's say, for example, you become a little bit more cognizant of it, you know, and then it's like, okay, maybe you are having a milkshake. Maybe one time you try having an oat milk milkshake instead, and just trying different things and seeing, you know, can my palate, like, your taste buds get used to a certain taste.
Yeah.
And it takes 21 days to kind of switch your palate into something else. So it could just be trial and error, trying different things, whilst kind of being aware that, you know, okay, maybe I'm not cool with what's happening with this whole dairy thing, but I'm still me, and I still need to figure out what works for me.
Yeah.
And it's just that journey of figuring that out.
I think people are very, very scared because it feels like we're constantly being told, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. So I think it is I firmly believe that, like, all my friends are meat eaters, but I know that because their justification a lot of the time is that they've not seen it and they've not understood it and they don't get it. Like, I don't want to because I'd rather just enjoy what I'm doing. And that's the thing, isn't, like, chicken makes me feel good when I eat it, so I will carry on doing that, and I will bury my head in the sand.
That really bothers me.
Yeah.
That really bothers me.
And that's why I'm like, but if you knew, you wouldn't. But then
like,
at the same
see
time,
it and then say, like, walk into a slaughterhouse, watch the footage, see the stuff, then come back and say, I'm okay to eat this animal.
and if you are, then I really think I'd be
then you
concerned.
question the friendship.
Friendship, yeah, you would. No, you would, because I'm sorry, I would question anybody that watches something like that and doesn't change their way.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm one of those. I'm not perfect, so I don't expect the world to be perfect. But at the same time, it's just being aware of it.
Yeah.
And the more aware of it you are, the more different changes. And one small change will make a massive difference.
Absolutely.
Won't it? So yeah.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up, okay, I'm very excited about your
My book.
Yeah,
I am
it's
too.
just surreal to me. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, having seen you on Insta and now seeing like a tangible book, which is your social commentary. Please, firstly, tell me a little bit about the book and what inspired you to write it.
So it's called, here, I'll grab it, and then so it's called I'm Rich, You're Poor.
Of course,
it's
your
such
famous
tagline. And it's such a on the nose, because I feel like now I really fought for that title, because people were saying to me, the publishers were saying, what if people see it as like you saying, what if they don't understand the sarcasm behind it? Because there is a sarcasm behind it. It's not me saying, I'm rich, you're poor, come and find out how rich I am. You know, it's not trust me, it's not a self-help guide on how to be rich. But one of those things where the idea behind the book, genuinely, and I got asked this question today by someone, and I said, for me, the main crux of the book is people being able to celebrate being ordinary. There's so much online where it's telling you, and it's broken down into chapters, so it's telling you to wear this, be like this, love like this, travel like this, be productive like this, do this in your day, eat this, and there's all sorts. So it's all broken down into how ridiculous the internet can be. And it's showing you some of the psychology behind it. And at the main point, the main crux of it is the internet can be so isolating. When you're watching a million people saying, you know, do this and you should be traveling more. You as a, you know, disabled, you know, gay woman should be traveling the world. Yeah, well, I think it's a little bit different than being a straight white, you know, able-bodied male to travel the world, isn't it? Or, you know, somebody telling you you should, or you need to try this brand new, you know, £350 sandwich. I can't afford that. That's not accessible to me. So it's me just saying that celebrate. And there's also some really cool tips in it as well on how to be more povel, which is my term, which is, it's not my term. I don't know, because you're from Australia. They use that there, don't
Yeah,
they?
povo. Absolutely.
Right. So, and you know, it's
Yeah.
crazy because I got interviewed recently and somebody said, but don't you feel like povo is like a derogatory term? I was like, yeah, but now if somebody shouts somebody povo in a street, they go, oh my God, do you watch him as well?
Yeah.
It's become a thing where you're like, oh, you know who that povo guy is.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's celebrating being ordinary. And like I said to you, I think the way I described it, I think I said it to yourself, I think I said it earlier, I was like, it's, you know, when Dorothy goes to Wizard of Oz, when she pulls the curtain back and she sees that the wizard isn't really that scary.
Yeah.
She can carry on as normal. It's seeing that the internet isn't as scary as you think, and understanding that what you're seeing is performance, and then going, okay, well, I can be happy. And that's what the povos do so well.
I love that.
Have you seen my comment section? They love it. They're like, I'm far too, I can't even pay my bills today.
Dude.
Let alone, and it's like, imagine not being ashamed to say that. Imagine not being ashamed to say, I can't afford that. And it's okay. So yeah, that's what, but I can't wait for you to read it, because it's got some real
I'm excited.
tidbits in
So
there where
excited. I think it's just a nice breath of fresh air for everyone. So please, I'll put the link in my bio for everyone
it's
to
not
get
out.
it.
I mean, I don't depends on when this episode comes out. When's this coming out? Well, whenever.
Yeah,
so it might be out. It's out now, and then I'll do it's coming out soon. It's on pre-orders.
And then
and then it's been out for 3 months. Or this video might never go out. But no, I really enjoyed writing it, and I think it's just nice. I am shocked that I have a book. It hasn't felt real. You asked me that, didn't you? You was like, how does it feel? I was like, but it's just right now I could have printed that myself, and it could be empty inside.
Exactly, it's
so
nothing. It's just a piece of paper.
When it's on a shelf in a store.
Yeah.
And I was saying that earlier. I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into shops. I'm just going to take one copy and just sign it, and then just put it back on the shelf. And then just go around the world, different copies, and just quickly sign it and be like, Shabaz was here, take a picture of it, and then just...
I love that.
But I can't, it's fun. It's a good, fun book. And it's similar to the vibe that we were saying about, this idea of once you're aware of it, you can do something about it. And that's what I'm Rich, You're Poor. I'm Rich, You're Poor in the movement is be aware of it, don't feel bad about it, do something about it.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me on Kindness Themi. It's been lovely chatting
No, I know,
to
it's
you
been so
about-
much fun. We've had such I would have missed this. We've had such a fun 2 days. And then we've got to go off into our own worlds, and you've got to go back to being an absolute star around the world. And
I know.
I'm jump back in bed. So.
But yeah. Oh, you jump back into tortilla. I love it. Yeah.
Tortilla jumper, and just straight back into bed, recording videos. Oh, teaching as well. Got to teach.
Teaching as well. What do you teach?
Chemistry, high school.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you even want to be humbled, get humbled by it. I wear all these nice outfits to events.
Yeah.
Go to school and they're like, why were you wearing that for? I was like, brilliant. Get humbled by a teenager if you want to be humbled. So.
I love it.
But no, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. It's been
hope this doesn't cause too much controversy.
No.
I don't think our opinions are controversial.
No,
People just need to get over it.
They need to get
That's what it is, isn't it?
Exactly.
But yeah, it was good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.